All right, so get this. Tom Cruise is back at it again with the crazy stunts, this time for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently he's gone completely nuts for this one. We've got some inside info from Empire Magazine, and let me tell you, the details are insane.
You know, it's funny. Cruise has practically become like a synonym for these wild stunts these days.
Right, like he's not just an actor anymore. He's practically a walking special effect.
The article even calls him that, a walking special effect. And then they go on to list some of the insane stuff he's done in the past.
Like what?
I mean, you name it, biking off cliffs, hanging off skyscrapers, piloting fighter jets. The man has a serious death wish.
Yeah, well, maybe not a death wish, but definitely a crazy level of dedication.
For sure. I mean, just imagine the level of training required to pull these things off.
It can't just be about being fearless.
Right?
It's got to be about having this insane level of control over your body and mind under pressure. And you have to do all that while acting.
Totally. And get this article talks about one stunt that left the entire crew speechless.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine this Tom Cruise strapped to a 1930s Boeing Stearman biplane at 10,000 feet.
10,000 feet? Are you serious?
Dead serious. The article even mentioned that he passed out a few times during training.
I'm not surprised. Just thinking about the lack of oxygen at that altitude. The cold.
I know, right?
It's like preparing to climb Mount Everest, but strapped to a plane.
And then having to act. I can't even imagine. And the director, Christopher McQuarrie, said, some of the stunts in this movie will melt your brain. Which I totally believe.
Yeah, that's not an exaggeration at all. I mean, think about it. The wind pressure alone at 10,000 feet.
It's got to be insane.
It is. They must have had to calculate everything down to the last detail. I wouldn't be surprised if they used wind tunnels to test everything, you know, to make sure he wouldn't just get ripped off the plane.
Makes sense. But wait, there's more. The biplane stunt isn't even the most intense one in the movie.
Wait, hold on. What? Seriously?
Seriously. McQuarrie even said there's another stunt that made him want to puke thinking about the stress.
If the biplane stunt didn't do it, what could possibly be more terrifying than clinging to a plane at 10,000 feet?
Right. I mean, they do mention an underwater sequence, but McQuarrie makes it sound like this mystery stunt is on a whole other level.
What do you think it could be?
I have no idea. But knowing Tom Cruise, it could be anything.
True. He seems to always try to one-up himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you look back at all the Mission Impossible films, it's been this constant escalation of stunts.
You're right. He started with relatively simple things, and now he's hanging off planes and scaling the Burj Khalifa.
Maybe he's going to jump out of space this time.
You know, he has always wanted to film a movie in space. Maybe this is his chance.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Or maybe it's some kind of crazy free fall from like an insane height, like
Yeah.
way higher than the Halo jumps in Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay, now that's just terrifying.
Right.
I am both terrified and incredibly curious to see what they've come up with for this one.
Me too.
The whole thing just gets more and more unbelievable. Is there even a line anymore? Like, when does spectacle cross over into genuine danger?
That's a really good question. And I think that's something worth exploring further. You know, like
Yeah.
where do we draw the line?
Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to push boundaries, but it's another to risk someone's life,
Mm.
even for entertainment.
I think you're right. And it makes you wonder if McQuarrie was feeling that stressed about it. Were there any points where he considered scaling back, like even a little?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
It's something I'm sure we'll dive into deeper as we keep going, unpacking this whole world of stunt work and how it all comes together behind the scenes.
Right, because it's not just about the spectacle, it's about the people involved too.
Exactly. Speaking of which, there's an entire team of insanely talented stunt performers who make these crazy sequences possible.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, it's not just Tom Cruise risking his neck out there.
Right. Definitely not. These stunt performers are the backbone of these films. They're the ones putting in the hours of training, the planning, executing these insane stunts.
And they often don't get nearly enough credit for what they do.
It's true. They're like the unsung heroes of these films.
It's like they're magicians, making the impossible look effortless, which makes me wonder what kind of people are drawn to this kind of work.
That is a fascinating question. I'm guessing it takes a very specific kind of personality, you know? A mix of fearlessness, precision, and an understanding of physics and human limits.
And maybe just a little bit of crazy.
Maybe. But in all seriousness, it's their dedication and skill that allows Tom Cruise to do what he does.
Totally. They're like his secret weapon.
Exactly. They make him look like a superhero.
I mean, they really do.
And without them, these films wouldn't be nearly as captivating.
Agree.
It's like a finely choreographed dance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a blend of artistry and athleticism. They're not just risking their lives.
What are they doing then?
They're creating art.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And they're doing it with this incredible level of precision.
Like in that Halo jump sequence in Mission Impossible Fallout.
Oh, yeah. That was insane.
It was a masterclass in suspense.
In filmmaking, it wasn't just crews jumping out of a plane. They filmed that at high altitude using special cameras and oxygen masks.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the level of detail and commitment to realism is what sets those films apart.
Totally. And you know, those stunts are often woven into the plot of the movie.
Oh, for sure.
Which raises the stakes and adds so much to the tension of the story.
Right, like that Halo jump wasn't just a random action sequence.
Yeah, it was actually crucial to the mission.
Exactly. Ethan Hunt was literally racing against time to stop a nuclear detonation.
Oh, man.
The pressure.
I know. It's that integration of the stunts into the narrative that makes them so compelling.
For sure. They're not just gratuitous action sequences.
Nope. They're driving the story forward, keeping you on the edge of your seat.
Speaking of keeping us on the edge of our seats, can we get back to this mystery stunt that's been bugging us?
Sure.
If McQuarrie was feeling that stressed about it, it has to be something truly wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What could possibly be more insane than that biplane stunt? Exactly. He did say it was something completely different from anything they'd done before.
So that probably rules out another skyscraper climb or car chase.
Okay, so we've got space. Maybe some kind of insane freefall? But what else could it be? Could it be something involving water? Like maybe some kind of underwater escape?
There's a good chance it could involve water.
Right.
They've done some pretty impressive underwater sequences in previous Mission Impossible films.
True, but McQuarrie is saying this one is different.
Yeah, so maybe it's something much grander. Something that pushes the limits of what's possible underwater.
Okay, now my mind is really racing. Maybe some kind of deep-sea dive.
Yeah.
Escaping from a sinking submarine. Or maybe even fighting underwater with some crazy high-tech gadgets.
Now you're getting it. We know Cruise is a certified scuba diver.
He is.
Yeah. And he's always up for a challenge.
Of course he is.
Imagine a scene where he has to hold his breath for an insanely long time.
Okay.
Navigating some treacherous underwater environment while also trying to outsmart the bad guys.
I'm officially on board with that theory. That'd be incredible to watch. But you know what else is crazy about this whole thing?
What's that?
McQuarrie hasn't given us a single hint about what this mystery stunt actually is.
That sneaky devil.
It's like he wants to keep us in suspense. Build up the anticipation.
Oh, yeah.
Though
he's a master of suspense, that's for sure.
And by keeping it a secret, he's guaranteeing that everyone's going to be talking about it. Speculating, theorizing.
It's brilliant marketing, really.
It's definitely working on me.
Me too.
But it makes you think, all this talk about pushing boundaries and risking lives, it makes you think about the ethics of it all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, is there a point where it becomes too much?
That is a really important question to consider.
It is. And it's something filmmakers have been grappling with for decades.
Totally. Where do you draw the line between spectacle and safety?
Exactly. How much risk is too much?
And then there's the studio to think about.
Right.
They're the ones ultimately signing off on these stunts.
And putting up the money.
Right. So do they have a duty to ensure the safety of the cast and crew, even if it means scaling back on some of these ambitious sequences?
It's tough. Because I think as viewers, it's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of these stunts.
It is.
And to forget that there are actual people putting their lives on the line.
That's true. It's important to acknowledge the incredible skill and dedication of the stunt performers behind the scenes.
Absolutely. It's easy to think of Tom Cruise as this fearless superhero.
Right.
But the reality is that he's relying on a team of highly skilled professionals to make it all happen.
Exactly. They're the ones putting their bodies on the line.
Yeah. They're the unsung heroes of these films. And, stunt work has come a long way over the years.
Oh, absolutely. It used to be all about brute force and daredevilry.
Yeah, that's what I always thought.
But now it's become this highly specialized field.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
It combines athleticism, technical expertise, and a deep understanding of physics and safety.
I guess you're right. Thinking about that scene in the first Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise hangs from the ceiling.
Oh, yeah. That was groundbreaking back then.
It was. But if you compare that to the stunts they're doing now...
I know. It's almost quaint.
It really is. The technology has advanced, the techniques have become more sophisticated.
And the level of risk has increased exponentially.
For sure. But with Mission Impossible, they've managed to hold on to that sense of realism and authenticity.
Yeah, by using real stunts.
Real locations
Yeah,
and minimal CGI.
exactly. And that's what makes those films so unique. It's a visceral, immersive experience.
Totally. You just
Yeah.
don't get that with most action movies these days.
You feel like you're right there with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, experiencing the danger and the adrenaline rush firsthand. It's like a theme park ride, but on the big screen.
That's a great way to put it.
And, I think audiences are craving that kind of escapism.
Oh, for sure.
That sense of wonder and awe.
It makes sense. In a world that often feels so mundane and predictable, these moments of extraordinary spectacle offer a much-needed dose of excitement and inspiration.
You're right. It's like for a couple of hours, we get to believe that anything is possible.
Exactly.
That we can defy gravity, cheat death, and save the world.
It's the magic of cinema.
The ability to transport us to other worlds
Uh-huh.
and make us believe in the impossible.
Beautifully said.
And I think that's what makes Tom Cruise stand out from other action stars.
How so?
Well, he's not just playing a character.
Yeah.
He's embodying that sense of daring and determination. It's like he's pushing himself to see how far he can go, to see what's humanly possible.
Almost like a modern-day Daredevil.
Right.
A throwback to those early pioneers of stunt work, risking their lives for the thrill of it all.
And I think that's why audiences respond to him the way they do.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We admire his commitment,
Yeah.
his willingness to put himself in harm's way
Right?
for our entertainment.
He's not just giving you a movie.
He's giving you an experience.
Exactly. And that's why Mission Impossible has become such a successful franchise.
Agreed. It's not just about the explosions and car chases. It's about that feeling you get, that visceral edge-of-your-seat thrill.
You know, the kind of thrill you can only get from seeing real stunts performed by real people.
Exactly. Speaking of real people, we've talked a lot about Tom Cruise.
We have.
But I think it's important to remember the entire team behind these films.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The
Yeah.
directors, the cinematographers, the stunt coordinators, the special effects crew.
They're all working together to create these incredible moments of movie magic.
It takes a village.
It does. To pull off something as complex as a Mission
Right.
Impossible film.
For sure. And for all this talk about the danger and the spectacle, it's easy to forget that these films are also just incredibly well made.
Oh, they really are.
The storytelling, the characters, the pacing.
It's all top-notch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not just mindless action flicks.
Oh, no. There's real artistry in those films.
For sure. And they're made with such attention to detail.
Pretty impressive.
It is. So to wrap things up, it sounds like Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 is going to be quite the wild ride.
Oh, I think so.
Tom Cruise pushing himself to the absolute limit, a mystery stunt that's making everyone nervous, and an amazing team of filmmakers behind it all. I don't know about you, but I'm counting down the days until this movie hits theaters.
Oh, me too. I can't wait.
And I'm sure this movie is going to spark a lot of conversation about the nature of spectacle, the role of stunt work in cinema, the limits of human endurance.
You're right. It will be interesting to see how it all plays out.
For sure.
Well, that concludes our deep dive into the world of Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise's insane stunts.
Don't forget to check the show notes for more information and links to some of the articles we discussed.
And as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those limits.
Yeah.
It's like a finely choreographed dance.
Yeah.
A blend of artistry and athleticism. They're not just risking their lives. They're creating art.
It's true. It's amazing to think about.
And they do it with this incredible level of precision.
Yeah.
Like that halo jump sequence in Mission Impossible Fallout. I mean, come on.
Oh, that was insane.
That was a masterclass in suspense
Mhm.
and filmmaking. They didn't just film Cruise jumping out of a plane. They filmed it at high altitude.
Wow.
Using special cameras, oxygen masks, the attention to detail, the commitment to realism is just mind-blowing.
And it's interesting how they often weave those stunts right into the plot of the movie.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It really raises the stakes.
Yeah.
And adds a whole other level of tension to the story.
Right. It's not just a cool visual, like that halo jump. It was crucial to the mission.
Yeah.
Ethan Hunt was racing against time to stop a nuclear detonation.
Talk about pressure.
I know. It's that integration of the stunts into the story that makes them so compelling.
For sure. They're not just there for the sake of being there. They're driving the story forward.
Exactly. Keeping you on the edge of your seat.
Speaking of keeping us on the edge of our seats, can we get back to this mystery stunt that's been bugging me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The one that made McQuarrie want to puke.
That's the one. What could possibly be more insane than that biplane stunt?
It's a good question, especially since he said it was completely different from anything they've done before.
Okay, so we can rule out another skyscraper climb or car chase?
Probably.
So we've got space, maybe some kind of crazy free fall. But what else? Could it be water? Like some kind of underwater escape?
You know, it's possible. They have done some pretty impressive underwater sequences in the past.
They have.
But McQuarrie made it sound like this was different, like something much bigger, something that really pushes the limits of what you can do underwater.
Now my mind is really going. Maybe some kind of deep sea dive, escaping from a sinking submarine. Or even fighting underwater with crazy high-tech gadgets.
Now you're getting it. And we know Cruise is a certified scuba diver.
He is.
Yeah. And he's always up for a challenge.
That's true.
So just imagine he has to hold his breath for an insanely long time.
Okay.
He's navigating some treacherous underwater environment, all while trying to outsmart the bad guys.
Okay. Now that I would pay to see that. That would be incredible. But you know what's crazy is that McQuarrie hasn't even given us a hint.
Not a single one.
It's like he's trying to keep us in suspense, build up the anticipation.
He is. He's a master of suspense.
And you know what? By keeping it a secret, he's guaranteeing that everyone's going to be talking about it, speculating, theorizing.
It was brilliant marketing.
It's working.
But, you know, all this talk about pushing boundaries and risking lives,
Yeah.
it makes you think about the ethics of it all, you know?
Yeah. Where do you draw the line between spectacle and safety?
Exactly. How much whisk is too much? And then there's the studio to think about.
Oh, right. They're the ones signing off on it all.
And funding it. So do they have a responsibility to make sure everyone's safe? Even if it means scaling back on some of the bigger stunts.
I think as viewers, we often get so caught up in the excitement of these stunts that we forget there are real people putting their lives on the line.
That's so true. It's important to remember the incredible skill and dedication of the stunt performers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about Tom Cruise like he's some fearless superhero.
Right.
But he's relying on a team of incredibly talented professionals to make it all happen.
They're the ones putting their bodies on the line. They're the real heroes.
And you know, stunt work itself has come a long way.
Oh, yeah,
It
absolutely.
used to be all about brute force and just pure daredevilry.
Right.
But now it's so much more sophisticated.
It's a highly specialized field. It's athleticism, technical expertise, a deep understanding of physics and safety, all rolled into one.
I never thought about it like that. It makes sense, though. Like that scene in the first mission. Impossible.
The one where he hangs from the ceiling?
Yeah, that was groundbreaking back then.
It was. But compared to what they're doing now...
It almost seems tame.
Right. The technology has advanced, the techniques are more sophisticated, and
Yeah.
the risk, well, the risk has just skyrocketed.
But with Mission, impossible. They've managed to hold on to that sense of realism and authenticity.
Because they're doing it for real.
Real stunts,
Yeah.
real locations, minimal CGI.
Exactly. And that's what makes those films so unique. It's a visceral, immersive experience.
You really feel like you're right there with Tom Cruise experiencing the danger, the adrenaline rush.
It's like a theme park ride, but on the big screen.
And you know what? I think audiences are craving that kind of escapism, that sense of wonder and awe.
Especially in a world that often feels so mundane and predictable.
Yeah, these moments of spectacle, they offer a much-needed dose of excitement and inspiration.
It's like, for a couple of hours, you get to believe that anything is possible.
That we can defy gravity, cheat death, save the world. It's the magic of cinema.
It really is. The ability to transport us to other worlds, make us believe in the impossible.
It's like he's saying, I'm not just going to give you a movie, I'm going to give you an experience, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of why Mission Impossible has become such a huge franchise.
It's not just about the action.
It's not. It's about that feeling you get, that edge of your seat thrill.
You know, the kind you can only get from seeing real stunts performed by real people.
Exactly. And, you know, we've talked a lot about Tom Cruise,
We have.
but we should give some credit to the whole team behind these films.
Well, absolutely. The directors, the cinematographers, the stunt coordinators, the special effects crew. I mean, come on.
They're all working together to create this movie magic.
It really does take a village to pull off something as complex and ambitious as Mission Impossible.
And, you know, for all the talk about the danger and the spectacle, it's easy to forget that these films are also just really well made.
Oh, for sure. They're not just mindless action flicks.
They're not the storytelling,
Yeah.
the characters, the pacing. It's all top-notch.
They're incredibly well crafted, with such attention to detail.
So basically what you're saying is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 is going to be another wild ride.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got Tom Cruise pushing himself to the limit, a mystery stunt that's making everyone nervous, and an incredible team of filmmakers behind it all.
I don't know about you, but I am counting down the days until this movie hits theaters. Me too. I think it's going to spark a lot of interesting conversations, about the nature of spectacle, the role of stunt work in cinema, the limits of human endurance.
It'll be fascinating to see how it all unfolds. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise's insane stunts.
Don't forget to check out the show notes for more information and links to some of the articles we talked about.
And as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those limits.
See.